Is this not letting me do this? Well, hello everyone. Trying to get everything set up and my tech wasn't working. Let me move this little video over for a second so I can look in the right place. Welcome, welcome. If you are here, you are early, and I have a bonus for you. It's our early live bonus, Teaching with Games. If you haven't seen it, I will copy that link because that link is going to disappear in about a minute because it's only for people that show up early. So, welcome. I am so glad you're here. As we get started, excuse me, maybe you could tell me one thing or tell me how many kids you're homeschooling. right now, or you're going to be homeschooling in the upcoming year? I have three adult kids. I'll introduce them in a little bit, but anyway, let me know how many kids you're homeschooling, and we are going to, and the chat should be working. Let me see. Oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted. Oh, we've got questions. Where is the link? Chat is to say, oh, no, really? I was trying to get away from the questions. Okay, we will do this again. Type an answer. There we go. I don't know why that's happening. Did that come through? Let me know. And I will do this again. It should go through to everyone that's right here. I enabled the chat. I am seeing the chat. That was one thing I was checking on right before we got started. So I do not know exactly what was happening. If you have not been able to get the link and you don't see it in the Q&A, let me know. Let me chat. Chat settings. It says show chat. I don't know why it's not working. So I guess I'll have to figure that out before Friday because I worked on this since last Friday and I don't know exactly what happened. So my apologies to y'all. All right. If that's not working, I'll pull the chat down. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's try chat again. Oh, I know why. Oh, here we go. All right, y'all should be able to see chat now. Let me know if the chat is available now because I did find the setting. It was only sending to me, which doesn't really help. So if you see the chat, put something in the chat and let me know if y'all see it. Anyone? We see it but can't respond. Oh, oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you. Then I will not use the chat. Um, and I don't know what's wrong with the chat, but I'll put this in one more time and hopefully everyone on here can get it. Type. Got it. No, here, type. Oh, well, y'all can see it anyway. Okay, well, if you need to respond, we'll just use the Q&A for responses. I apologize for that. I really did try to figure this out beforehand, and I will contact tech and figure out what's wrong with this. So let me open the Q&A so I can see it. All right, so we'll just use that for a chat. Not my favorite way, but that's the way we will go. Let me get recording started and we will get going. What's our All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Four steps to raising Christian leaders in your homeschool. Sorry for wasting a few minutes at the beginning. Sometimes that's what happens when tech works. It's great, and when it doesn't, it can be quite frustrating. So we are going to jump in right now. We're going to talk about how you can gain confidence to know you're doing enough in your homeschool. I am going to turn my video off during the class, and then I will bring it back and we'll answer some questions at the end. You can use the Q&A feature as a chat for now, and if not, hopefully y'all can see the different people writing their questions in. And then, but also if you have questions, I will answer those at the end. So let me turn off the video and let's get started. Try the more menu in your chat and toggle it full. I did toggle chat fully on. Chat settings. The only thing, it's just not working. And I really don't want to spend more time, but thank you. Embrace love. I appreciate that. So, all right, let's get going. Today, once I get the slides going, today I am going to show you, let me get me out of the way, that you can go from feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and worried about doing enough in your homeschool to feeling focused and intentional with your kids' education. And then you'll experience the peace and confidence by giving your kids the best education possible. As you raise them, I think to be Christian leaders, I'll sort of make a case for that during this class because leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So we're going to get rid of the president, CEO, and mayor ideas through the class. There are lots of leaders, moms and dads are leading their home. So I am super excited about this. This is my first time teaching this class this month. Well, really this year. I only teach it during May. And so I did teach it to my boot campers, but that was a little bit of different twist. So I'm excited that you're here. If you're excited, put something in the Q&A and just say yes. I believe that at the end of the time, you're going to learn the major shift that moms need to make to go beyond the conveyor belt of schools and give their children the ability to influence others for Jesus. The number one area to build in your children year after year. This will carry them through life, giving them a foundation to influence others for Jesus and lead their family in the future. And this is really where you want to start with young kids. We'll talk about the simple and most effective way to inspire a love of learning. This is so simple, it barely takes any thinking or planning, and yet is very effective in getting your kids to enjoy learning. We'll also talk about the single most effective way to develop critical thinking skills that can actually be used in any subject, and we did use it in any subject. And then finally, we'll sprinkle through some real life skills of Christian leadership education to help you double down on what strategy you need to use this coming year. I do have a handout at howtohomeschoolmychild.com slash four steps handout. I was going to see if I could type that in. So if y'all don't have it, I'd go ahead and download it. I wish I could make my slides clickable. I'm sure there's a way to do that, but we're not going to do it. Actually, I should put it in a poll. So there we go. Oh, we've got some yes, yes, we're excited. All right. The other thing is if you stay until the end and decide to work with me in raising your kids to lead instead of follow, to lead and impact, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get your hands on a special bonus that I will discuss at the end of the class. I also have a giveaway, another giveaway. And this is verses and prayers to pray for your children. And this is there's several pages, and each page has several verses. And you can print them out and put them around your house, in your car, at the kitchen sink, wherever you will see them. And they are basically verses you can pray for your kids and prayers that you can pray for your kids. How do you win one of these? Basically, every time you leave a message in this Q&A thing, and I'm going to hopefully can start scrolling up and down. Anyway, we will pick just a couple of winners through the class. So the more times you put something in there, every time you do that will be an entry to win one of these ebooks. So the other thing is try to get rid of distractions. I know that's hard when your kid's at home. Turn off your cell phone unless you're watching on your phone. Shut down all the windows or on your computer, your device, because sometimes that bumps you off. Close all the extra devices and if possible, shut the door. I know at 1 o'clock my time, that's a great time to be able to take care of myself. My kids were usually having a quiet time. And if you haven't gotten the handout, it's at howtohomeschoolmychild.com slash the number four steps handout. All right, let's dive in. Enough with the housekeeping. So this is Warren Bennis. I really don't know his belief system. All I know is he's an expert in leadership. And he says successful leadership is not about being tough or sensitive or soft, sensitive or assertive, but about a set of attributes. First and foremost is character. So I really think that one of the foundations with your children to build character is the foundation of good leadership. But how can we do it? I would like to offer you or challenge you to have a post-it party this week. And this is how it would work. I want you to take each of your children's name and put it on a different post-it. Then put the character quality you want them to work on and a Bible verse that would go along with that character quality. For bonus points, you could put the blessing or the consequence for doing that action. And then I would challenge you to put it on the refrigerator. And with each of these kids, I would sit down and talk to them before you begin this process and say, Sarah, we're going to work on being more thankful. Maybe she's complaining a lot. And so here's a verse I found in the Bible. If they're a teenager, they could find their own verse and then we could put it on there. Anyway, and then when she shows thanks, you have a blessing for her and it's written on there, or you have a consequence when she starts complaining. It's all decided ahead of time and it's not on your shoulders. It is on God's shoulders. We go to the Bible and we begin to teach our kids. The reason we ask you to act this way is because this is how God wants you to act. And those are just a few examples right there. But I think this takes a lot of the pressure off of mom and dad, and hopefully you agree on this and everyone's on the same page. So, would you commit to finding one Bible verse for each of your kids to build individual character? If so, give me a yes in the chat. I would love to see that. We see some hearts go. Oh, there we go. And we have some people. Now I'm scrolling. I get it. I print out and put those all around the house. I agree with you. That's just a simple way. So if you are willing to take the character post-it chat, post-it party challenge, put that up there. And as you put those up there, I'd like to talk about you're in the right place. Who is here? You're in the right place if you're a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling multiple ages, or an only child. As you cook, clean, chauffeur, and do all the tasks required of you, you're following the school model and it isn't working. You're overwhelmed and you need a new direction. Maybe you're a working mom, and I know on the Fireside Chat we had some working moms asking questions about how they could balance everything. You're a working mom trying to balance all your home and homeschool duties with work. Whether you work at home or you go outside the home, you're looking for ways to manage your time and give your kids the best. Some of you are a Christian parent who wants Jesus to be the center of your family and your homeschool. You really are stressed out with their attitudes and you're trying to find something better that will help you with your kids. A lot of you want the best education for your kids. Some of you just heard leadership and you go, that sounds important. I think I'm going to be there. And then we've got grandmas here. We had a grandma in the boot camp and it was sort of fun, but we are having more and more grandmas come to our classes, come to our Facebook group, and read our articles that we are putting out there. You either have full responsibility for your grandkids, or you just have the daytime and you're responsible to homeschool them. I don't know where you are, but I would love for you to put something in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or multiple ones, just so I get an idea of who is here in the class, and we can sort of tailor it for that as well. So put something in the chat. Where's my roller? There we go. Love this idea. Absolutely. Are thinking full-time working mom here. Some days are easier than others. That is the truth. I actually became very weepy with the single moms at the end of the fireside chat. If y'all were there, a week ago for our VIPers. Anyway, no matter which one describes you, I support you and have ideas for you. We got lots of y'all in here. So some of you know me, some of you don't, but this is my family taken last summer. And I just want to introduce you because we homeschooled for 10 years. Ashley is our oldest. She is married to Jesse. They have Elizabeth and Faith. Ashley was willing to do things outside the box. When she was in a private school, we put her in a private school till fourth grade, and then we began homeschooling Ashley and Gentry. The teacher asked a question about George Washington. There was a picture of some pews, a sentence or two, and it said, "Why is George Washington a Christian?" And she said, "I don't know. I don't know if he believes in Jesus." And so she continued and she gave it. The teacher said, "Do it again." And so the teacher said, "Do it again." I said, "Ashley, let's just write the answer that she wants," which was he donated the pews. Well, she was really thinking more deeply than that because she knew that didn't make him a Christian. That was just evidence of him being a Christian as well. And so she did think outside the box, start her own business with Stephen High School, and she got a college degree in about a year and a half, and then went on to get a teaching certificate to teach at-risk kids. Gentry is our middle daughter right here. She has little Sloane, who's a little bigger and she can walk now, and Landry here and Deacon here. It was Deacon's birthday, Cowboy Bob birthday. Um, and she's married over here, so sorry, I forget the man, to Andrew over here. Gentry's just always been a leader. Her friends went to her. She won the Bear Award at a public school and high school for both basketball and softball. You could play sports with the public school, and that's what she did. And her friends voted her captain, and she was captain in her junior and senior year of both sports. Then we have Hunter, the baby, and the tallest, and he just married Brittany a year ago, last Sunday, and so he was always asking questions. He would even raise his hand at the dinner table to try to get a word in edgewise because his sisters were talking so much. They each took ownership skills or leadership skills in their homeschooling, making decisions about what they would study. Gentry and Ashley have astronomy on their high school transcript because they both wanted that. Most people don't take astronomy. They were interested. There was a class nearby. Most of the time it was online, but the guy would have them out to their farm at night, and they would look at the stars and do all the astronomical things that they were learning about. And so they took ownership on Mondays, especially in freshman year, they would take ownership. And that meant they were growing into being a leader, not a follower who just did what mom told them or their teacher. They were growing into leading and owning their own education. And that was exciting to me. And I hope that that is what you are doing as well, because that's what we need to do with our kids. We did homeschool for 10 years, and believe me, we had ups and we had downs. So if you're in a down, I can relate. We struggled. If there's a speaker that says, oh, my kids always love homeschooling, that personally, I don't think that's true. And that was not us. We did have a great time together as a family. But when I started between, I learned about Charlotte Mason and then I learned classical or a new unit studies because I'd been a public school teacher for 6 years. I was just trying to figure it all out. Well, how do I do this the best for my kids? And about 4 or 5 years into it, I discovered something called leadership education, but it wasn't from a Christian perspective. And I wanted a biblical worldview with whatever we were doing at homeschool. So for the next several years, I tried to blend leadership education to a biblical worldview and had to figure it all out on my own. I want to help you, and that's what this class is about. So you don't have to figure this out by yourself. Sound good? Put something in the chat if that's worth and helping you overcome. One of the reasons I think people are overwhelmed and exhausted is they're following the wrong system. And we're going to talk about that. So, what would your homeschool be like? Could you imagine if you could homeschool together without all the attitude from your kids? To grow relationships with your kids that would last for a lifetime instead of always putting out fires, to have peace and confidence that what you're doing is enough and the right activities, to have a clear picture of where you're headed, put those future glasses on your head and see the lenses, and you see that your kids are going to turn out okay. What would life be like? Put something here in the chat. And yes, chat is still disabled. We are just working with the Q&A. I thought I'd fixed it since last Friday. Obviously, I didn't, but I didn't want to I already spent 4 minutes at the beginning trying to figure it out. I don't want to waste your time. So we're just using the Q&A as our chat. I'm so sorry, Ashley, but thank you for putting something in there. What would life be like? Put something in the Q&A as to what your life would be like. And as you do, I just want to tell you what are going to talk about. I would love to hear what you're thinking. This class is helping you raise your kids to be leaders for Jesus who will influence and impact others for the rest of their lives. Even you may go, I'm just a mom. Well, you have probably bigger influence than anyone else. So let's raise our kids to have huge influence. You are influencing your children to be great adults for the rest of their life. They may not be the mayor, they may not be head of their own company, but more than likely, all of us are going to grow up to be moms and dads who will have huge, good impact and influence. Let's just raise them to do that well. Plus, I'm going to talk about freedom a lot and how you in your homeschool and your kids can have freedom. They can have freedom in their adult life. Now, if you're like me, you may want to just a little roadmap of where we're headed. We're going to talk about three possible education models, and I think this might help you get rid of the overwhelm. Four steps to raise Christian leaders, and these are very practical. And I believe the biggest mistakes moms make, and this is usually the most people love that part the best. They sort of walk away going, yes, I am ready to go. So let's dive in and talk about what type of education your child receives. As I talk about these types, I want you to think, which one do I want for my family? Because I'm going to ask you that question at the end. So if you're multitasking, come back and let's listen to the types of education. Which type of education are your kids receiving now, and which kind do you want? And then also, this is a question right now, and actually, I haven't given one of these out, so let me just put this in here. All right, Embrace Love 55 at Gmail. You have just won one of our prayers and verses to pray for your kids. So if you will send me a DM on Facebook or a email, and just remind me that you won. We will get that to you. I've been forgetting to do that. Lovely, great. Oh, there we go. Well, you'd be learning together. I get it, Ivan. That's a really good point. What does liberal education mean to you? Put something in there. Liberal education. When you hear that, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? This is a quote, and as you put that in, I'm going to talk about this quote. It was spoken in 1909 in the United States, but I think it is true for around the country at that time. We want one class to have a liberal education. We want another class, a very much larger class of necessity, to forego the privilege of a liberal education and fit themselves to perform specific, difficult manual tasks. Dottie says agenda. Anyone else? And if you've been on my classes, you may already know the answer to this, but what does liberal mean to you? A lot of people are like old fashioned and things like that. Think about the word liberal. Where does it come from? It comes from the word liberate. What does liberate mean? It means to free. Because a liberal education liberates or frees a student from their teacher. It provides such a great education that that they don't need a teacher anymore. They have a love of learning. They have tools of learning. They have critical thinking skills to make wise decisions, and they can go out and teach themselves and learn things that they need. So it's not just old-fashioned books or boring or very like, I don't know, it's not Democrat and Republican. It is to liberate your child from their teacher. And you should be, I wanted my kids to be liberated. I wanted them to be able, right now as adults, they don't have to keep coming to mom and asking her, what does this mean? But see, back then they didn't, they thought it was a privilege because why the Industrial Revolution? The industrialists were pouring millions of dollars into the education system. They needed workers, they needed people that would not think for themselves, which a liberal education will provide thinking skills, a thinking class, as Abby told me yesterday. And so they needed workers that couldn't think, just to be able to be on the factory line and be able to get the parts made, get the Henry Ford Model T out there for them. And they didn't want people to think, they wanted workers. And so that is what they did. It took several decades. I say around the late 50s, early 60s, it really came into effect. And we were losing our thinking skills and we were just going by a curriculum, not according to what was best for our children. Who said this? Well, guess what? Oh, missed that, Tanya. Woodrow Wilson, he was president of Princeton, but he soon became president of the United States. The United States has been very intentional with the education that they provide, the free public education, and we need to understand that. And so it depends what kind of education do you want your kids. The first one they are now following is what I would call a conveyor belt education. This is where you go through a conveyor belt that you all get on station one, you do all the same activities, you are tested the same way, and if you pass, you go on to station two. do all the same activities. You get tested the same way, and you go on to three. And then there are 12 stations. After 12 stations, you get a stamp of approval, and you're sent off to the market, the job market. That's really what conveyor belt education is all about. It teaches kids how to follow and how to be compliant, to get the basic information, to get a job. And I'm not saying getting a job is wrong. I'm just saying that's all they're worried about. Our people are like, well, they get a high school diploma, then they go to college and they get a job. And we act like that is what education is about. I think it's much broader. And they basically use textbooks to get all of these things. The next type of education is professional education. If you go to auto mechanic school and you get out and they bring the car in and it goes clunk, 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 then you do this. When to think. If you're a doctor and someone comes in and they point to a part of their body and it hurts, you do this. I am not comparing the value of a car to a human being at all. I'm just saying there are certain processes that are very similar. This is teaching you when to think. It is preparing you for a career so you can retire. The last education, that's what we're going to talk about mostly today, is leadership education. Teaches how to think, how to take ownership of your education, how to take ownership of your life, how to become a statesman, whether that is in politics, in your family, in the community, in business. You are influencing those around you because you know how to think and how to make wise decisions. And then for me, how to do that with the biblical worldview. It mostly uses classics. We'll talk more about this. So, which model would you like for your kids? Put something in the chat and let me know, and I'll try to keep remembering to scroll. But you may be saying, with all my curriculum to complete, what if I mess them up trying to balance my life, my family, my homeschooling, my work? One of you works full time, or maybe more if you do. All that clutter around my home, still need to cook and clean. I am overwhelmed, Carrie. This makes me feel overwhelmed. All right. And several of you are saying leadership. I would like to propose that leadership education is a lifestyle. It is life. It is not more check boxes to check off. It is hopping off that conveyor belt and going with what is best for your kids, I think, because I think teaching our kids how to think is the skills that they need, real life skills that they need. And there are ways that we do that when we encourage a love of learning and things like that. So, but then another question I get, Carrie, how does a generation who was not mentored in leadership education to be able to know how to think. How do we give this type of education to the next generation? And then how do you and I, who know the conveyor belt so well, give our kids a leadership education? Um, these are some questions I think is really important. And a lot of y'all have said leadership, and I want to say one thing. I'm not opposed to professional education. If you're a doctor, you're going to have to go through medical school. But I think we can prepare our kids for where they are being called as well. So really like those answers. Let's keep going. Laura Cruz had this to say about leadership education. I offer a course called Raising Leaders Not Followers. She said, this didn't even help me just with my kids. It changed my mindset. We got a new homeschool routine, and my kiddos are loving their new teacher. You see, Laura quit being overwhelmed. She simplified her homeschool. She focused on what was purposeful and intentional. And then they were having a lot more of what y'all have said you want, that peace. And for us to, not only your kids to enjoy school, but for you to as well. So let's move through the 4 steps of Christian leadership education. And as Warren Bennis said before, the foundation is character. So step 1 is to have a firm foundation of character. Oh, and Michelle, 15 years becoming a mom and being a teacher. I get it. You have to unlearn. I was only a public school teacher for 6 years, but I'm going to tell you, you can do it. I've loved just moving out of that mindset. I can read the scope and sequence up and down, but I don't know that it always served me well. with my kids or with my own children. So when we start with a firm foundation of character, and I am faith-based, and I am going to talk about God some, so I think we need to teach our kids and build righteous character. And one place that you can start, there are a lot of places, but I would encourage you to start with the armor of God. That is why I have that little man sitting right there in his armor. Because if you're raising your family is focused on God, on your marriage, on raising your kids to follow God, you have a target, not just on your back, but on your chest. The enemy wants to attack you. And I would strongly encourage you to put on all the armor of God. Pray it for your family every day. You go out, get in the car with clothes on. Do you get dressed in the clothes that God has given you every single day? I was challenged this back in 2017. I was like, I think I need to take this more seriously. And so since then, pretty much, I may have missed a few days. I pray the armor of God for my family. And right now, I'm going to just stop for a minute and pray the armor of God for everyone that is listening now, if your families. Father, I just thank you for this armor that you've given us to protect us from the enemy attacks that are so prevalent today. I pray for each one of us and each child and each family member here that's represented that we will put on the belt of truth and the truth will set us free. We will put on that breastplate of righteousness, leaving our sin and old self dead and buried in the tomb and walking in righteousness. That we will walk in peace with you, ourselves, and each other, covered in the blood of Jesus Christ that gives peace and reconciliation. That we'll hold up that shield of faith, faith in Jesus Christ, and it'll extinguish all the arrows the enemy is sending our way. That we'll put on our helmet of salvation to protect our mind, taking every thought captive to obey you and demolish the enemy's stronghold. That we will fight our battle with the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God. We will each, and all our kids will each spend time in God's Word each and every day, and it will change who we are. And we will pray persistently. We will pray in the Holy Spirit to defeat the enemy attacks. Most of all, we thank you for the blood of Jesus, the bond we have in the blood of Jesus Christ. And we pray this out in the powerful name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. Um, Next, let's go to the next one. Servant leader. We know the greatest leader is Jesus, and he was definitely a servant to others. My son Hunter was classroom champion when he was a senior in high school. You had to be a leader and you had to be in sports, and they chose a different one every week. And on Friday, the TV station would run parts of your interview. When they went out to interview Hunter at the football field, they were asking questions. He said, well, what is your style of leadership? He says, I'm a servant leader. I just serve the guys on my team. And that is so true. That is who he is. But I think this is so important that we teach our kids how to serve one another in our family and then outside our family as well. And then lastly, I think it's important that we use scripture, God's rules, to be able to teach godly character. That's why I had the post-it party at the very beginning. If you came in late, go back and listen to that section. It's all about using the Bible. Instead of just yelling at them or telling them what to do, take them to the Bible. Let them see that God is asking them to do that, not just mom or dad. And so that is just something easy you can do. We do have these following God charts. There are three different ones with all of them are different, but each of them have a positive character quality, make peace, and then a negative one. They each have a verse and then a space for you to write down what happens in your family when this happens. And that way we know ahead of time. That's why that poster party can be so helpful. You talk ahead of time. Here's what we're going to work on this summer. And you use that post-it party, or you can get these charts. And so this is giving it to God and putting that your kid's character on God's shoulders. So important. Can you see how using Bible verses can make character building easier than what you're doing right now? If so, put something in the chat and let me know. Go, Dottie, amen. Lisa told me once, she goes, Carrie, I just couldn't figure it out how to implement this. And I want it from a Christian perspective. Thank God that you brought this all together for me. So let me see what y'all think about that using the Bible as well. All right, to lead tomorrow, you must learn today. If you want your kids to lead, they need to start learning today. So my question to you, put something in the Q&A. What is a love of learning? What is a love of learning to you? Oh, go Ivan, even, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. This is my granddaughter, Faith. She is 11 years old. She graduates from fifth grade this week. And she was about 3 years old, or yeah, three, I think. And her parents were trying to finish painting part of the house so they could sell it. So I took her to this farm. They had an Easter egg hunt, and she was scared of these chickens at first. This is right before we left. She rode her pony for the first time. She got her face painted. She rode a train. She held a bunny. She did it all. She was curious about everything. And to me, a lifelong learner, Michelle, a love of learning, enjoying the process, want more, spend time pursuing new things. She was curious. And let's face it, preschoolers are so excited because everything's new. You have 30, 40, I don't know how many years of experience on them, life experience. And you sort of get tired of their questions. Why? But they're true. Most of the time, they are truly curious. But what do we normally do? We take them, we set them at a desk or a table, and we give them a stack of workbooks. And then we're like, hey, all right, we're going to start school. And we have them go through the workbooks. And you strangle their curiosity, you strangle their love of learning. So let's talk about a different way to do this. Let's talk about inspire lifetime learning. My question to you is, do you love to learn? Sometimes sometimes it's not just them. Sometimes we're bored with it or we're on our phone all the time as well. So I think it's important that you model your love of learning. You are enthusiastic about learning, and remember that more is caught than taught. The reason I have this art picture right here is I loved art. And one time Hunter was about 6 years old. We were driving to Houston and we pull into the parking lot and he goes, oh no, not this museum. It was the art museum. And he thought we were going to the health museum where he can walk through a mouth and see the lungs breathing and everything. But we went inside and I said, hey, listen to this is back in the old days where you had to actually get a little thing with a headset. And I said, listen to three impressionists. And right next door in this same museum, there's a Star Wars exhibit, and you can go there after you've listened to three of them. I continue to expose to him and all the kids over and over. Ashley loved art. All right, and Ginger is sort of in between. But I continue to expose the kids over and over to art in very simple ways. We may just look at a painting for 3 or 4 minutes and talk about it in a book or whatever. But they were exposed to it. He was also exposed in high school. He had a teacher, and that's really where I think he began to appreciate and love art. We were in high school. We were working in London, and I wanted to go to the London Museum of Art. The only person that would go with me was Hunter Beck. Why do I tell that story? A love of learning takes time sometimes. Be patient, give your kids patience, give them grace. They may not like everything you like. And to inspire sometimes takes time. It is not instantaneous. You know, there are some things that I didn't like to read as a kid, but my kids would tell you while they were growing up, oh yeah, mom loves to read. You know, I could tell you lots of stories, but I don't have time to tell you all those stories. But more is caught than taught. What are you modeling? Are you enthusiastic about it? I was enthusiastic. I love sharing art with my kids. So be enthusiastic because more is caught than taught. All right, I am going to give another book what do you say, verses and prayer book, and that's going, and I just sort of scroll up and down and pick whoever it lands on. Is Dottie Lanier. You have won our next one. So send me a DM on Facebook or in an email and tell me that you won that book as well. And thank you. I can't read all the comments out loud, but I am reading them on the side. All right, the next thing on Love of Learning, one simple daily activity, and a lot of you already do this. Read aloud. I believe if you don't do it, the only two things that I really would want to make sure I did every day was have our family devotions and we read aloud together. And we started it in the morning. The first year I read after lunch, I fell asleep and I thought, that's not a good modeling example. I loved reading, but I was exhausted. I've been up since 5:30. We just ate. I was full, and then I start reading. It wasn't a good combination. So we started reading aloud first thing. We ate breakfast, got ready, and the first thing we did together was to read aloud. I believe it does a lot of things for your family. It builds relationships. It provides a love of reading, love of books and classics. We did rotate books. My kids didn't all like the same kind of books, so I did try to rotate them. So we were all reading different kinds of books that the sooner or later we'd be reading one that they would like. So first, foundation of godly character. Second, inspire lifetime learning. Third, personal growth plan. I'm going to go quickly and then I'm going to explain this. You need to set a time aside, and this is more for older kids, teenagers. All right. We've talked a lot about love of learning, and I think that begins really when they're even in preschool age or elementary age. Set aside a time for learning or set aside a time for reading. File quickly what you learn. Write something down about what you learn. Apply quickly what you learn. Tell someone out loud about what you're learning. This is not in like a science textbook. This can be in, I don't know, The Hobbit or Anna Green Gables or whatever book. It could even be in Frog and Toad. So I call this our read, write, discuss method. So what did we do to really put this into practice? We did this more in, I would say, like 13 and up. They would read every day, write one page, and it wasn't necessarily a spiral notebook, it was whatever size your reading journal was, because everyone got their own reading journal, and one page about it. Not, don't tell me the story again, tell me what you think about it, or what you learned about it, or what someone did and what you thought about it. And then you discuss it once a week. The easiest way to do this is with your read aloud. Everyone's hearing the same thing. You're not trying to read five different books, and everyone reads. We read it out loud, right? If you have younger kids, that writing could be a narration, tell the story. But once their brain starts thinking abstractly, they need to start critically thinking about it. I can tell you more. I don't have time to go into it today, but we dived into how to do all of this in Raising Leaders. So you're going to write about the book, and then you're going to discuss it. And yes, you can discuss. You basically ask a question and close your mouth, and then let your kids answer and give them time to think, because the whole point is thinking skills. So that is what we would do through, especially the high school years. This can be used in any subject. It gives you freedom to do this with political current events, a movie you saw, a book you're reading, anything you can discuss about. We had a lot of discussions about sports because our family was a sports person. So it really does give you a lot more. I also think this is something that you should be doing in a biblical basis as well to grow a close relationship with God, to show your kids how to read the Bible, how to write about it, and then to discuss the Bible together and becoming a great leader. One of our students, Shelley, said, Carrie, I didn't see any purpose to discussion. But then as I was going through the course with you, I was like, wow, I could use this. She told me with the Bible, with the movie, with the newspaper, with the books we're reading. And she goes, I really did appreciate it. And she said, my mindset completely changed after working through our Raising Leaders class as well. So, and reading history too, I loved it. We did read a lot of history. So, number one, character foundation, spiral love of learning, personal growth plan. But how do we get started? You, mom or dad, there is no education but self education, as Charlotte Mason tells us. This is really true. You're going to have to self-educate. How do we give our kids this education that we never got? You're going to have to learn. So how do we do it? You are going to start personal growth plan and really sacrifice yourself. Summer is the perfect time to do it. You don't go tell your kids how to have a personal growth plan if you don't have one yourself. Here's what I recommend. You get a personal growth plan. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And then you do it all summer so that you'll be ready to teach your kids in the fall. You got 3.5 months ready to do it. You're going to model this. They'll see you reading. If you read on a tablet, just let them know you're reading a book and not scrolling Facebook. Well, you choose one classic right now to read every day, write one page in your journal, and then tell someone about it once a week. And you can start with the kids classic, whatever you're interested in. But eventually this summer, you need to move to adult classic so you understand and sort of struggle with some of the thoughts. You read something like Little House on the Prairie, and it's so simple to you, but an eighth grader sort of still struggling maybe with the eighth grader, 8-year-old with the vocabulary and trying to pull everything together. You need to read some adult classics this summer, but start with something easy. Read every day, write every day, tell something once a week to a friend, at the family dinner table, to your spouse, whomever. So here we go. Firm foundation of godly character, inspire lifetime learning, personal growth plan, and start with you. Cherry just told me, she goes, there's little to nothing available out there, especially in mentoring our kids. And here's what she wrote me in an email. I felt like a lone horse on a deserted trail. Everyone else that I know homeschools on the conveyor belt to keep up with the public schools. Thank you for being a voice in the desert that will give guidance to us many lone horses that are headed your way. And so I hope that's really what it is. You're welcome, Ivan. All right, let's close with this. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all those details. Can you relate? Do you ever get worried about all the details? You could leave something there and let me know. I think the biggest mistakes mom make are we are too productivity oriented, checklist mentality, and we compare ourselves to others like Martha. Jesus, tell Mary to get in here and help me. So we need to get off that conveyor belt. Productivity, mindset. How do we do it? The 3 R's. Number one, relax. There you got number two. Relax. Take a deep breath and enjoy your kids. They're going to be gone before you know it. Relax and enjoy and build relationships. Number two, rest. Seriously, get some sleep. If you're exhausted, get some sleep. Take a nap. See if someone can watch your kids if you need a nap. Rest. But also, I want you to rest in the Lord. If you're not sure what to do, rest in Him, and He's going to show you. He also tells us to wait on the Lord. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Relax, rest, and then rejoice. Find things to rejoice about, even if nothing else is going right. Maybe you have a hot cup of coffee. That's what I'm going to do. Take a quick sip. There's always something to be thankful for. The sunshine outside, but sometimes the rain we can be thankful for. Just sort of depends on what's going on. These are the 3 R's. Which one of these would help you the most? Which one? Yeah, which one would help you the most right now? Relax, rest, or rejoice. Leave something in the Q&A and let me know. And then these are the 4 steps again. And then I also would love for you to put something in the chat, 1, 2, 3, 4, or more than one. But which one would help you in your homeschool? Where are you right now? Do you need help with building that firm foundation of godly character? Do you need help inspiring a lifetime of learning? You know, I only gave you 2. We have 17 strategies in our course about that. Do you need help with a personal growth plan with your older kids? Or do you need help starting with you this summer? How do I grow my own education? Let me know. Yes, relax, rest, 3. Oh, yeah, personal growth plan, relax, rejoice. I need all 3 of them. Godly care. Oh, y'all are good. Let me look at all these. All right. Okay. Where do I let's go to? Oh, yeah. At this point, I have a question for you then. Would you like me to help you gain confidence and freedom to give your kids a Christian education that impacts the world, where they influence others as well. I think there are two options. Number one, you can try to create a Christian leadership education plan, but you'll run the risk of being in the same place this time next year with a big open loop and no plan to give your kids a better education that you want for them. And it's hard because you're trying to juggle so much. Or you can 100% commit to focusing on a proven plan. If you're ready to build confidence and freedom in your homeschool efforts and follow a proven plan, then I invite you to join me inside Raising Leaders, Not Followers. This is the only leadership education course of its kind from a Christian perspective. There are others out there, but I really haven't found any that are from a biblical perspective. We're going to show you exactly how to build godly character and lifetime learners who can think critically and biblically, as well as make wise decisions, because we want them to grow up to glorify and honor Jesus. One of our students, Angie, she homeschooled during COVID, and she said, I am never doing that again. I am sending those kids back to the public school. Seriously, that was what she told me. And oh gosh, scrolling too much. She said, I'm never going to do that. But you know what? She had a son that really needed to stay home. And she said, I started looking, Carrie, and I don't know how I found your course, but it was a God thing. And when I found you, I thought, and she told me this, she goes, I said to myself, this is the lady I want to follow. And she said, when she went to this course, she realized that education isn't just academics. It's about God, putting him first so I can fulfill God's purpose for my life and for her children's life. She said the more that she saw what I was teaching, she said, okay, yes, I can do this. I can homeschool. And if I'm going to do it, I want it to look like this. She said, I went from never, ever wanting to homeschool again to actually have a model that works for me to get rid of that overwhelm, to simplify and to not be stressed out like I was that first year. She said, you gave me purpose, you gave me content, and you gave me the encouragement that I needed to move forward with an effective homeschool. So there's a bunch it's going to cover. I'm going to go quickly over this because I'm not going to read all of that, but you can sort of look at that and sort of see what's going on. But let me go quickly over the 6 modules. 5-step formula for Christian leadership education. This really fast tracks you to being intentional and finding the direction that God wants you. And you really need to go through this first to build on some of those 4 steps, because number 2 is character as foundation. We're going to talk about the number 1 most important quality a leader must have, how to sort of dump that bad attitude and find a new attitude. Number 3 is inspiring your kids to love learning. I already told you we have 17 strategies that we go through in this module. Number 4, we're going to talk about tools of learning. I didn't even have time to talk about this, but these are tools of learning that have been used for centuries. Were used before they changed to all the modern checklist stuff as well. Then we're going to talk about thinking skills for leaders, how to help your kids write about a book when they have no idea what to write about, how to help you lead a good discussion when you're totally unsure of yourself. We've got tips and tricks to help you. And then we finish off with making wise decisions. Graduate our kids. And I will say, moms and dads, if you go through this and you have teenagers, I highly recommend you go through this module with your kids as well, but you need to go through it first. The rest of it is pretty much for moms and dads to go through so that they can give a good education. But we need to sort of take care of this and make sure we are doing the right things so that we can model as well. And then finally, I've never done this with this course. So this is brand new. Oh, it doesn't say it. I forgot to change it. It shouldn't say 3. I changed it on my other set of slides. It is 6 weeks of office hours. What are office hours? We will meet every week because, see, every Monday you're going to get a new module, 6 modules, 6 weeks. And then every week we will have a time together with our past students and with our new students as well. And I will answer any questions that you're going over. And we will make sure that you're getting your questions answered. I want this to be of a benefit to you as well. So it should say 6 weeks of office hours. It does later on in some of of the slides. You know, Rose was one of our my students as well, and she did tell me, she goes, you helped me teach my kids how to think logically. The other thing she really liked is she kept a 3-ring binder, if you're a visual learner, of everything that was in the course. And she said, now I can go back anytime because I didn't need everything right then. I needed things that were going to help me this year, and now I can go back and watch the videos and do that. Each week, I would say if you could take 30 minutes a day, especially in the summertime, things are slower, you should be able to get through it. And it won't even necessarily take, it depends on the week, but 30 minutes a day should be plenty as well. So there they all are, and it should say 6 weeks of office hours, and then the lifetime access as well. So this wasn't easy for me, but I want to make it easy for you to help you shift your mind like I did when I found the best education for my kids. That I also had to gain confidence as I was figuring it all out, and freedom. It gave me so much freedom. We could pick and choose the things that we wanted to study. And my kids walked away with the tools of learning as well. To be honest, we have helped dozens, if not hundreds, of moms use these leadership courses, actually hundreds. That was written several years ago. Anyway, Becky was like, thank you for putting together a package that gives me practical tips as I struggle to raise my children to go against the tide and serve the Lord. Um, so a few bonuses. We have help for the Harriet Homeschooler. These are our printables, our schedules, our lists that will help you. We have classic book lists. We've talked a lot about classics. So we have a children classic, a teen, and adult list. So you already have a list of good books that you want to. Now, I do want to tell you that I offer a money back guarantee, but I'm only looking for serious action takers. So you need to show that you've at least given it a try before requesting a refund. I do this because I'm not really looking for tire kickers, but true go-getting moms and dads like you. If you if you're on this class, you are serious about what we are doing. And so I think that's really important that we dive in and help you get the results you want. If you do the work and you're still not satisfied after 14 days of the course opening, which it opens June 1st, you can register. You need to sign up before then, but Module 1 comes out on June 1st. Then I will gladly give you a refund. And then we've got a few more bonuses. This class, this book is where it all started, and it's all about leadership education, character building, love of learning, transitioning to independent learning, and then teach your children how to mentor. That's all about independent learning, our read, write, discuss method, internships, college, work, all sorts of things like that. And then this book is only available in the course. It is Hop Off the Conveyor Belt, Real Life Tips and Tricks from Homeschool Moms. And Holly said I read these books in a few days and found them full of practical direction, especially different age level appropriateness type things. So, and then we have something I'm bringing back, our VIP community. I'm still working on getting this set up practically, but by June 1st, it should be set up. It will all be in your members area. You do not have to be on Facebook. Isn't that awesome? But this will be a place where you can interact with other people, any of the students in the past and any of our new students as well. So you can get instant help and interactive help as well. So there is everything, Raising Leaders and the bonuses. And I forgot to change this as well. So just sort of ignore the slide except for Helen and what she said at the bottom. It'll be 6 weeks. The most helpful parts for her. And this is someone who before it starts, she's like, Carrie, I thought you were a bunch of hype. I thought I was going to have to ask for a refund. I thought I should not have bought this. She's been like one of my biggest supporters. She goes, it wasn't. And I just want to thank you so much. It helped me exactly where I was. And the most helpful parts were the videos and the workbooks that go with it. And then the live group coaching, because I could get my questions answered quickly in the coaching calls. Another bonus is quit trying to homeschool and start training for success. I'm trying. Well, we're going to show you how to train and be successful in your homeschool. Andrew Pudewood's going to talk to you about copy work to composition and all sorts of writing tips and tricks. And I'm going to talk to you about scheduling tips and tricks, daily, weekly, and annual. And then you are going to get last year's Homeschool Superheroes. over 50 recorded ones. I'm not hosting Homeschool Superheroes. I normally give a ticket to that, but I'm doing something different in the fall. And so y'all will all get 2025, last year's Homeschool Superheroes, all the recordings as well. And if you decide to invest in the first 24 hours, you get the Human Body Printable Pack worth $70. We got preschool stuff down here too, and we got fertilization up here and actually understanding that in more detail with, I would think, older kids as well, and then everything in between. So, something for everyone. So there's the whole package with everything. So, but I know that most of you are like, there's no way. And I wouldn't even be able to spend that much money. But I want you to know that I know that you are sincere and I want to make this affordable for you. So there are two things you can do. You can either sign up for $26 today, and that's our payment plan, or you can pay in full. Excuse me. Um, howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF. I will put that in here. If I could, if I could type. I think that's right. Okay, that should be in the Q&A to everyone. If y'all can't see that, tell me as well. Ivan says, I love the proven payment. Up until this year, I really had never done a payment plan that low. It was always $50 or more. But I know times are hard right now, and that's why $26 a month. I figure that hopefully that would be something that is affordable to everyone because I know not everyone can pay in full. So I wanted to make it something that everyone could pay in full. And if you do pay in full, here we go to the next slide, then we do have a pay in full VIP bonus, our drama-free mom bundle, our ebook, and then 2 videos and an audio. Diane Spill was on my founding members when we first started this. She already owned Drama Free Mom, and I was trying to get feedback. What do you think would be most helpful for our moms getting in here? And she said, Carrie, I already own this, but this is the best thing. She said, when I took it, it was very easy way to help me quickly change my public school mindset and my daily routines so that our family's weekly homeschool ran a lot smoother. So you get that. It's worth $45 normally. And then anyone that decides to invest today on the master class can get a $10 Amazon card. You're like, what can we buy for $10? You can actually buy a classic book. Just go look up the publisher, Dover. And there's lots of inexpensive books for your kids to start, for maybe you to start your education, for your next read aloud, or maybe even to find a fun learning toy as well. There's some inexpensive things on there that you could use. So that is everything that's included as well. I'm not exactly sure why you showed up today, but I guess maybe you feel stressed out, pulled in so many directions, and you want to simplify. Maybe your kid's attitude is driving you crazy and you're ready to pull out your hair, all those screens, and you just hope that they will turn out okay. Or I want you to think, why did you show up today? By now, I know you can see how raising leaders, not followers, can help you bust through all the sticking points that have stopped you from hopping off that conveyor belt of public schools. Your fear of failing your own children because you're unsure of what really works in homeschooling. But if you still haven't signed up, maybe you have some doubts. I'll just create a plan of my own. I hear you. Really, that's where I was halfway through our homeschool year. Took me years, years to formulate this plan. And I want you to rest assured the steps we offer in Raising Leaders, Not Followers takes you by the hand from kindergarten, really preschool, to 12th grade. Steps at every level so you know exactly what to do. Or maybe you're like some of you, I just can't spend the money. And I get it. I already said, I know times are hard right now, but I will say two things. One, we have a payment plan that I think is affordable for most people. But if let's just say you had one child left and they had 4 years of school left, and most of you have more kids than that and more years of school. All right. 4 years, that would be about $50 a year that you'd be spending. Would it be worth $50 a year to get the education and the tools that you need to really give your kids the ability on how to think and quit following mom for they to take ownership and leadership and all sorts of things like that as well. So, and the last thing is you can do it alone at home. You can do it alone. I get it. But a community is so much better. And I really think God made us to work as a community. And that's why I'm offering this private exclusive group that will be in the members area as well. So that would be something to really consider. It's harder to do it alone than when you have people to bounce ideas on. All right, my friends, it's time to answer all your burning questions. If you do, put them in the Q&A. I'm going to open it up to you to ask anything that you're wondering about. In the meantime, you can always get more information at howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLN26. Trying to get to the bottom of all these questions. Um, and I really do want you to know I'm here to help you. This is a journey, and yes, it does cost some money, but a lot of people spend $100 a year on math curriculum, sometimes one for every kid, or $100 or $200 on a writing curriculum. So I do think when you think of it in those terms, this can really make a change. I know it made a change for me. It reduced the stress. We started to enjoy our learning a little bit more, and we started to think for ourselves and build those thinking skills. It takes time to do that as well. So let me get to the Q&A. Let me get rid of these notes so I can focus. Well, we've got some people in. Time of live calls with time zone. I do not have the exact time. I will tell you what I am thinking. They will be on Wednesday afternoons. I'm not sure. When I share the time, it will be central. I was sort of thinking 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock central time zones. And so that's really, I was going to announce that either this week sometime. To be honest, I have my summer calendar sitting there on the island. And I was trying to like get all my meetings because I have some meetings that are monthly and I need to get them on there. Most of them are on Tuesday and Thursday, and that's why I usually do my group coaching on Wednesday. So more than likely it will be on Wednesday afternoons. Embrace Love 55. I love that. So we struggle with just the basics, reading and math. Will your course help me with the basics like that? I'm not going to necessarily, I would say, okay, here is how you teach a 7-year-old reading, or here is how you teach a 9-year-old long division. But we will talk about ideas like that when we talk about love of learning and some things. We talk about games and ways that you can help your kids with that, and some books that if they don't like math, some storybooks that you could be using and things like that. So no, it's not going to be a math curriculum. What it will do is help mom start to, or dad start to change their perspective. And so I think that's the biggest thing is you're shifting. And sometimes when you shift your perspective, then your kids shift and the struggle isn't quite so big. I will tell you this, neither one of my girls liked math. And I did have to do some things, and we will talk about some things that I actually did to help my kids just change the attitude. That didn't mean neither one of them like math now. One of them we tease, can't, we wonder how much math she can do. She can do math, but probably not higher math. Her husband's an engineer, so he probably takes care of all that. But Gentry didn't like math, but she helped her college friends do math because she knows how to do it. So I do think some of the things we did sort of helped along the way. Having said that, one thing that you can use those 6 weeks of office hours for is to ask some specific questions about what you're struggling with, and it can be in a certain area of math. There is no payment, if that makes sense. So, hopefully that sort of helps. Great over in Hawaii. Tell me which island. I was just talking to a girl at church on Sunday who had been over. I was like, which island did y'all go? She said Oahu. I was like, oh, my son lived in Kauai for almost a year, and I got to go over and spend a week with him. And then my oldest daughter chose Hawaii for her senior trip. So we went to Maui for a few days, and then we went to Oahu for a few days. And my son and her wife were talking about going back and living there. So I'm like, yeah, you go. I'll be over there. Big Island. I have not been to the Big Island, but when we went with my daughter, so sorry guys, just totally off subject. We took it was, you couldn't do a helicopter from Maui, but you could do a small airplane. And I'm afraid of heights. And they seated you according to your weight. And I am right there in the front next to the pilot, and Steve and Ashley are right behind us. And luckily, we had the best seats because it wasn't bumpy. Those people in the back probably had the worst seats, but we did get to fly over the volcano. It was about an hour-long trip. It was so fun. All right, off of Hawaii, we could talk about love of learning and trips. I love that road schooling. All right, and Portia says, if we sign up, is the payment per child? No, it is a one-time fee. One time, whole family, it is all for y'all because you're going to take these ideas and use them with all your kids according to what helps your kids at different stages. Your kids that are at different stages, excuse me, your kids are at different stages and they may need different things. I will tell you right now, one thing I will teach, but I'll give it to you right now. If you have a teenager, and I don't know how old your kids are, but just take it for the example. If you have a teenager that has bad attitude, you need to go to character building. You need to go to module 2. And we need this summer probably to work on some attitude adjustment. And I think that is something that we forget. And so work on that attitude and then come back to working on academics. And so that would just be a little something that you can do as well. But no, there's no extra payment. You are look, those totals are right there. One-time payment of 197 plus the bonus that you get, and then $26 if you decide to do the payment plan. And sometimes I even offer a third one at a higher amount, but let's just simplify it. You get what you get right there. All right, let me see what else we have here. What else do I need to buy to see results with praising leaders, not followers? Really, you don't need anything else. Here is what I mean. You're going to get all the tools as far as mindset shift, about ways to homeschool, about giving your kids the best education possible. And we could take the word leader off and we could say freedom, giving your kids the best education, to give them a freedom education, to give them an education where y'all are free to study what you want, free for them to make choices about what they want, because these apply in different ways. They are tools of learning, sometimes anything and everything. So, anyway, so you get everything. However, there are two things I always think about that you might want to spend money on. One are books. If you'd like to buy books and collect a family library, go for it. If not, go to the library. We did both. I still buy my grandkids a book every year at Christmas and at their birthday. And so books would be something you might spend some money on. That's really your choice because you can do library or interlibrary loan, or um, supplies like craft supplies, activity supplies, science supplies. Those are probably things that you might already have, because if you're going through a science program, you're probably going to buy some experiment stuff, whatever. So those are the kinds of things. You could go to the dollar store and buy a lot of things. I buy a lot of things for our supplies for my Gigi's Mailbox Club when I'm making samples. So those would be the only extra things. And so that's a really good question. And then another question I did just get, do I have to buy now? No, but let me give you a little bit of the big picture. If you want fast action bonus, the human body 7 printable packs, you do need to buy in the next 24 hours, so you need to buy by tomorrow. And the whole thing will close next Thursday. I think that's the 30th. I don't have my calendar here. I'll look it up. But and because the next Monday is when your first module is going to start, and we try to keep everyone on the same page. So let me see what May is. May 28th is the last day that you'll be able to sign up. We will close the cart, get organized, get bonuses to everyone, and then Monday you'll get module one, and then probably on Wednesday afternoon, more than likely, we will have the first week of office hours so that you can go through this. The other thing about doing this office hours this way is that means you'll get two chances before the guarantee of period of 14 days is up. And you can really see if this is helpful to you. Are you getting the feedback that you need? So I think that gives you plenty of time to jump into it, to do the work and see if this is helping you as well. So you would need to sign up by then. I will give you one more little clue. The sooner you sign up, the more bonuses you get. You will see a few more bonuses along the way over the next 10 days. So if someone signs up today, you'll get every bonus that I offer because you get all the future bonuses. It says it right over there. Future bonuses and all future bonuses over the next 10 days. So there might be another little reason to go ahead and sign up. Any other questions? Let me see. How does this work with children with dyslexia, learning struggles? Thank you. So, I've had this question asked, and I will talk about office hours in just a second. I've had this question about dyslexia before, and again, I am not a special needs person. I should probably, because maybe I'll have I may interview my daughter. She got a specialization in special needs and works at a public school with special needs kids. And that actually might be a really good idea. I hadn't really thought about that. I need to make a note of that, and I'll have to ask her if I can interview her. And that may be an extra thing that we just offer here with our group. But I'm not going to necessarily give you, in one of these modules, how to deal with dyslexia. I will say there are concepts like slow down, and everyone's got strengths and weaknesses. And if you need to slow down for one child's weakness, slow down. Like, I'll tell you this, my daughter didn't, I mean, she's in seventh grade, and she still didn't know her times tables. And I was as frustrated as she was. I was a math minor, and I'm just thinking, I mean, I had bought every contraption there was. And that's not dyslexia, but that is the same kind of thing. You've got to take a step back and get the big picture. What can we do? What are some things that we can do as we work through the dyslexia, or I could work through the times table problems to move forward and keep going forward in the rest of the school things? Dyslexia, I know, would sort of hit everything, but there are some tips and tricks that we can cover. And so we can cover those again in our office hours because we have a lot more of them. We have 6 hours instead of 3. And every week we can get together and you can talk about the things we're learning. And when we get in loves of learning and tools of learning, we could sort of dive into that. And maybe we will do I'll have to, I don't know if she can do it, but that might be a really good thing for us to talk about because you're not the first person. And when this asked me, the first time I got this a couple years ago, I really didn't know how to answer it. And so I do think you'll still get some good things out of it. I think you may have to do some alternative things, but we could come up with some ideas on those tools of learning and critical thinking. Because so that's all I can say for that, but we can definitely do it. Office hours. What is office hours? That's a really good question. I sort of stole it from a business course that I took in January and February. I was taking a course on YouTube channels and how I could improve my YouTube channel. And they had office hours every Monday morning. Basically, everyone in the group is invited for an hour and they can ask any question. And everyone that has been in the class before could come and ask any question. And so I will say this one way that it will work. If you have specific questions and you can't be there, one thing that we will do is have a form that you can fill out your questions, and that way I will actually answer them live there, and you can listen to the recording. All the recordings will be put into your members area, and then we may even, yeah, because they'll be in the members area and that's where the community is. So you go in the members area and you can get everything. So if you can't show up one week, but you're really, trying to figure something out, you fill out the form. If you can show up, we will start with those people and then we'll just work through all the questions there. And anyone that has been, I had one student in the spring that couldn't really work through the whole course at all. And so she's like, summer's going to be a lot better. So even though she bought in the spring, she'll be coming to these classes because she just couldn't make it to the other ones. So I hope that answers. If it doesn't answer, ask me another question as well. Uh, and I will say this, normally I will give a few minutes of just an introduction with maybe a tip or trick, but I know I did that for the 3 weeks. I may or may not do that for every single week. We will definitely do that the first time. The first one, I will give a little bit of introduction about how to get the most out of this course and what to look for and that type of thing. There's also a video in the members area that is a welcome video that will also help you along the way in that manner. These are good questions. How do we sign up? Oh, well, here we go. I thought at howtohomeschoolmychild.com. If I can, RLNF 26. The link should be going out to everyone, but maybe it's not. Um, I have answered questions. Oh, I guess I could have just gone there and copied it. So maybe that's only going to the person that signed up. I don't know how, we got to figure out how to answer this, but that link that's on the slide, howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF26 should take you straight to the page. It is a long page, but you can read it if you want more information. It is really long, but I tell some stories and have things that have happened. It goes into more detail about all the modules. It goes into more detail about the bonuses. It tells my story on there, sort of towards the top middle-ish before the modules. So you can read sort of, why I got to where I am and how this all came about. So there are several stories on there if that will help you as well. So any other questions? Answering these live. Oh, I thought they would disappear. Oh, well. Okay. Any more questions before we close it out? Y'all have been awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience with tech. And I got to go figure out how to get this chat thing working so that we can see each other's stuff and at least have a chat rather than using this Q&A. I really apologize for that, but I appreciate your time today and hope y'all have a great day and a great evening. And if you're finishing out your school, you're finished strong. And I hope to see you on that first week of June as well and see you inside our first official office hours. All right, we'll talk to you later.